Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ask Brian, episode 7. And before we start, I want to point out that tomorrow at 11 a.m. PDT time zone, we are doing our live broadcast, the second one. This time I wanted to give you guys lots of warning. I've told you in I think 3 or 4 videos now. So I want to get a lot more people in the webcast. We're doing it tomorrow. Be there or be a loser. Okay, so the first question is from Israka, and he says, what's the difference between cables and weights? Now the thing about cables is that they keep a constant stress on the muscle, where free weights tend to stop that constant stress. For example, when you're using free weights and you're doing a preacher curl, you're feeling the stress all the way up to about here. From here to here, the stress on your biceps is greatly reduced and you completely stop contracting your bicep, because here and here, you're just kind of floating off the bone, right? But if you have a cable, say, and you're doing a preacher curl, the constant stress will keep your biceps holding that motion the whole time. So what I'm trying to say is that cables keep a constant amount of stress throughout the entire movement. For another example, when you're doing lateral raises with dumbbells, when you push initially, that's the hardest part of the movement. Then you're using momentum to float to here and then fall back down. But with a cable, you have to pull the exact same amount from the bottom of the movement to the middle of the movement to the top of the movement. You have to hold that stress through your shoulder, the same amount all the way down. You completely eliminate that momentum and movement. 214 Ball King says, pasta or pinto beans for the ultimate carb source. Now they're both great sources of carbs. They both have a ton of carbs in them, but pinto beans will also offer a good amount of protein. Not to say that you couldn't just put in some chicken into your pasta or eat some sort of fish with your pasta or something, but pinto offers a good amount of carbs and protein, whereas pasta you're gonna have to add your protein in there. Or you can put pinto beans in your pasta. Ew. Pedro says, how do you go up to someone who's new in the gym doing something incorrect and critique their form without looking like an ass? First off, I just have to point this out because it's true, honestly. People are going to look at you and then gonna decide whether they're gonna take your advice or not. So if you're the same as them, if you look the same as them, or if you're just a little bit better than them, then most likely they will look at you and they will not want your advice at all. But if you're a lot bigger than them, just because that's how people work, they're gonna listen to you. Honestly, it's really not that hard to critique someone's form without sounding like an ass. All you have to do is go up to them and be like, hey, would you mind if I give you some pointers or some tips on this? That's it. If they say no, then don't. If they say yes, then that means there's someone who genuinely wants to learn, and obviously you have something you want to say, so they're going to take that into account. And then you can go ahead and be like, well, I thought that your back was a little bit rounded, you should probably try to keep your chest, whatever the tip and advice is. It's very simple. Just be very nice and just be vulnerable. Make yourself the vulnerable one so that they feel comfortable. Matt F says, Brian, have you ever considered entering a powerlifting meet? Now, I would love to do a powerlifting meet. As you guys know, if you've seen me lift throughout the years, I do strength and size phases. And when I do my strength phases, I actually add on a pretty good amount of strength. I can row the entire machine. I can pull down the entire machine. I can max out the chest presses and stuff. It's good. But for my personal goal, and my personal goal is a long-term goal, I want to do extremely well in bodybuilding. I want to eventually, hopefully, get my IFBB Pro card in men's physique, and then I want to possibly go for my IFBB Pro card, or maybe one of the other organizations. I want to get my Pro card in bodybuilding. So powerlifting doesn't really mix into that size building, so I can't really just focus for a year on my squat, my deadlift, and my bench, because while I'll get really strong and I'll be able to push hundreds of pounds of weight, I will not build that same three-dimensional physique that I'm trying to get. I'm not going to build the same conditioning. I'm not going to build the same like rear delts, traps, all my little accessory muscles. I won't build those to the aesthetic perfection that I want to build them to. So no, I'm not going to do a powerlifting competition anytime soon. Maybe one day after I've reached my goals and I want to just play around a little bit, maybe I will. But for now, not gonna happen. Darren Maloney asked me if I have any good set of tips for taking tests. Now, I have 2. The first one being, set an allotted amount of time that you're gonna study, and don't go on Facebook, don't open your cell phone, just study. Even if it's just from 6 to 7, 1 hour, and maybe you do it 2-3 times a week, at least you're getting those solid hours of studying. And second off, the thing that always helped me out, I hate to admit this, but sometimes, you know, you gotta cheat to win a test. And I'm not telling you to cheat, but what I would do is, as I was studying for the test, or rather like preparing to cheat, I would write the answers on my hand, and then after After studying my hand and writing these things down, I had learned the information that I was going to cheat with so well from writing it on my hand that I already knew it, and I actually would always just erase it off my hand because I already knew it. So you could try that. You could try writing it on your hand or writing on a little piece of paper like you're gonna cheat, but then it'll just get stuck in your memory. Good luck, Darren. I hope you do well. Team Beyond the Week. Martin Alban says, Brian, who's your favorite fitness YouTube channel on the internet? Two of them that come to mind. First off, I know I always say this, man, but I really like Nick Wright Bodybuilding. Not because he's the biggest YouTube channel, he's not the biggest physique, but I just really like the guy's personality. He's very straightforward. He seems like he really knows, he really has a grasp on what he's doing as far as a bodybuilder, and I just feel like there's no BS there. On the other side, I like Frank Yang. That's my other favorite fitness channel. I don't know which one's better, I just like them both. Frank Yang is just so abstract and weird. He's not straightforward. He's not like, hey, this is how you hit your rear delts, this is good information. It's just weird videos about lifting and all this weird stuff. So Frank Yang for weirdness, Nick Wright for bodybuilding. Hell yeah. Team Fluffy. Me and Nick Wright are gonna lift one day, I guarantee it, bro. Snap Game Central says, what is your body fat percentage? And also, what is your bench? My body fat percent probably right now, I'd say like 12%. Probably 12-ish%. And the reason I say this is because I have abs and stuff, but they're definitely getting fluffy. And you guys are like, shut up, they're not fluffy. They are a little fluffy. I know my signs and stuff to see my steps of body fat, and I'm probably around 11 or 12% right now. And as far as my bench goes, I don't really do barbell that often. I'm a pretty firm believer in the fact that if you have an exercise that you get tweaked on often, if you get injured on an exercise, then you probably shouldn't go too crazy on that. You should probably try to feel that exercise out until you really know how to do it correctly without hurting yourself or you've adapted for it. And with barbell, I always get this slight strain in the outside of my pec. So I actually opt for dumbbells. And with dumbbells, I can do 124. I believe the last time I did it was 7 or 8 reps. So 120-pound dumbbells in each hand for 7 or 8 reps. Ronald Cragen asks, how do you manage to get up so early, man? I can never do it. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. The thing about waking up early is that it's no different than waking up at any other time. For me, I need 8 hours of sleep. So if I want to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm gonna go to bed 8 hours before, at 8 p.m. the night before. If I want to wake up at 6, I'll go to bed at 10. Whatever it is, you just go to bed 8 hours before you want to wake up. And it doesn't matter what time it is that you have to wake up. You should feel rejuvenated, you should feel good, and it should not be a big deal. The problem with most people is that they go to bed at the same time. So if they're going to bed at 11 o'clock every night and they wake up usually at 7 o'clock, and then they go to bed at 11 and they wake up at 4, of course you're gonna be freaking tired. Of course you're gonna wake up and be like, I'm going back to bed. Of course, because you aren't getting your 8 hours of sleep. So go to bed earlier, get your 8 hours of sleep. You can wake up whenever you want. Pro tip for your life. Woo! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is Ask Brian episode 7. Man, I love doing these. I'm serious. Please do not stop asking questions. Leave them down there in the comments below. I'll go through them again. We'll pick out 7 or 8 of them. We'll do them for Ask Brian episode 8. And it's gonna be awesome, like always. Thank you guys so much for the support. We are at 6.1 thousand subscribers right now. We're growing so quick. Before you know it, we're gonna be at 10,000 subscribers. I cannot wait for that day. You guys are a huge support for me, and I just really appreciate everything you guys have done for me. Team Beyond the Week, lift heavy or die, MIRIN.